Hello everyone, my name is Bernardo Mosqueira. I'm the Chief Curator at the Institute for Studies on Latin American Art, ISLAA, and we're here on Gallery 2, our second exhibition room in ISLAA's lower level, just next to our research center. And this is The Precious Life of a Liquid Heart, a show that highlights different cosmologies in Latin America that understand rivers as living beings endowed with agency, intelligence, memory, and desire, refusing to understand water as a resource to be extracted, exploited, dominated, and commodified. In the show, we are gathering works by 5 artists and a collective from different regions in Latin America that refer to different cosmologies in Latin America that understand the rivers as the house of the spirits, as their divinized ancestors, as gods or goddesses, orishas, as entities that we need to learn how to listen to learn from, to worship, to respect, to live with. Those are alternatives to the ways that the world constructed by modernity and coloniality has established for us to live. Here we have this beautiful work by Chonon Bensho, a Shipibo artist from Peru. We have this creation of this beautiful vibration on the surface of the work, with colors becoming other colors, with a pattern becoming another pattern. And this is an important form or resource of Chonon's work. Here, Chonon uses geometry to fill, in a way, her own form of figuration. This use of geometric patterns is also a use of kene. This variation, this form of constant transmutation that is in a way impressed in Chonon's work, comes from a very intimate connection to nature. In these other drawings by the same artist, we can see the village and all the different animals and people under the water, and we can see the water as this connecting element between everything that exists. We can see in this representation the use of kene also in the very architecture of the houses, and it's interesting to see how all these different animals are also expressing different kinds of personalities or moods. We can see the kene also here in this jaguar's skin. She used a kind of glitter pen, so everything is kind of shimmering in a way that is very beautiful, and it brings again this sensation of something that is magical, enchanted, or even belonging to 2 different dimensions at the same time. This is Manifesto contra la Contaminación, the Manifest Against Contamination, a work by a collective from Peru called Mujeres Muralistas Soi Noma. They are also Shipibo artists from the region of Cantagalo. In these works, we can see the beautiful use of kene. From a Western perspective, these geometric shapes could be described as geometric abstraction, as we see often in labels of major museums around the world. This is actually a form of representation, almost like a partiture. While the artists compose, while they use the kene, they are also singing blessings for this piece and about what is represented in the work. Here at the center we can find this scene in which the animals are running away from the contaminated water, with the beautiful detail of an embroidery kene as part of this landscape. Here we have this beautiful work by Nádia Taquary. Nádia is an artist from Salvador, in Bahia. Nádia was born in the city that has the largest concentration of Afro-descendant people outside of Africa, which is Salvador. Nádia is part of Candomblé, which is a Yoruba Brazilian religion that worships orishas. In this series of works, Nádia talks about the orishas, their stories, their values, their presence. In this specific work, Nádia is referring to Oshun, the Orisha that is the queen of love or fertility, responsible for the pregnancies and the birth. Of course, yellow is her color. Oshun is often associated with rivers. That's a place where she is often worshipped. In this work, we can see Nádia at the same time engaging with some materials that are very important to the daily life of Candomblé, like the cauris and the beads, the glass beads, but at the same time referring to the history of joias crioulas, which are forms of jewelry developed by enslaved black women. Since the 18th century in Brazil, forms of jewelry that these women would sell to buy their own freedom and the freedom of other women. Joias crioulas became, in a way, emblems of the sophistication of black culture in Bahia, and also signs of power, of political power of women, both individually and collectively. In these works, we can see two different performances by UÝRA. UÝRA is an artist who had a full career as a researcher in biology, and then started to develop her work as a performer to teach people in the region about the issues related to the Amazon region. UÝRA was born in one region of the Amazon and now lives in Manaus, which is the industrial capital city of the Amazon region, and she has been developing works that are both more critical, as in this work that she's wearing these carimbó skirts and two different kinds of snails that represent both the clean water and the polluted water. And in this work, UYRA is embodying the beauty of nature as its form of communication, of the form of manifestation of communication of nature, and always using elements found in nature around her to compose what she wears in her own performances. And here we have this beautiful work by Carolina Caycedo, a Colombian artist based in LA. This work is called Yacumama. Yacumama is a figure present in the Amazonian imaginary as this gigantic snake that would live under the river and that could come back to the surface depending on what is happening in the village. Yacumama is like the mother of the water. And of course we can see that this work refers to the shapes and colors that we can often find on snakeskins. In this specific series called Water Portraits, she manipulates digital images of rivers to create this presence of these bodies of water in exhibition spaces. This work is actually 12 meters long, so it's very large. It can be displayed in different ways. Carol is inviting us to develop ways of facing the river, facing our responsibilities before these bodies of water. This is Liquid Bean, a work by Seba Calfuqueo. Seba is a Mapuche artist from Chile. In this work, Seba is referring to a moment in which Augusto Pinochet, in 1981, privatized all the water in Chile, making it very hard for the indigenous population to access their sacred rivers, their sacred lands. Seba goes to the Cauti River, the sacred river for the Mapuche people, to develop this work in which we can see their body connected to the land using these blue robes. Blue is a color that is very often used in Seba's work. The name of the artist, Seba Calfuqueo, Calfu means blue, which is the sacred color for the Mapuche. And this is the voice of the river that Seba is inviting us to engage with, to try to understand, to try to listen to. The work has the subtitles both in English and Mapudungun, the language of the Mapuche, so at the same time affirming the importance or the coexistence between what is translatable and the untranslatable. This show was developed to be in conversation with Revisiting the Potosi Principal Archive, Histories of Art and Extraction, an exhibition that talks so much about extraction and the history of mining in Latin America. This show brings other voices and other perspectives that are really important to be heard while we are trying to think about nature in Latin America. All of these works were made in the last few years, and they were all recently acquired in ISLAA's collection. And in the moment of the opening of ISLAA's new space, this represents both our institutional attention about what is happening in Latin America right now, what is important and urgent in Latin America right now, but also demonstrates our active bridges in relation to this region of the planet.